Hi, it's January, so it's time for a new coffee of the month, and this time it's Honduras coffee from Finca El Puente, and it's a washed Catuai. And I hope to roast it well, and roaster is ready, so let's do it.
This month coffee is washed. We can assume that it can withstand faster approach, and that's what we are going to do. We start by heating up the roaster to 260 Celsius degrees on IBTS sensor and preparing 600 grams of beans. When roaster is ready and preheated, charge the beans. At start, our settings are power on 8, fan on 5, and drum speed on 9. With the fast roast approach, I would like to emphasize fruity character of the coffee. First few minutes are very good time to prepare the next batch if you are doing one. And as you can see, in the first 2 minutes, I'm actually checking the appearance of the beans. It's quite early for the color change, but my main reason for that is checking for signs of defects like scorching and tipping that can be noticed early in the roast. Tipping defect is the one that release the pressure by the tip of your beans, and it's usually visible by small black spots right on the top of the beans. And scorching is when the drum is usually heated too much and it's too hot, and it burns the sides of the beans, and it's usually visible on the flat surfaces of the beans when they are touching the drum surface. Our rate of rise at the beginning of the roast is pretty high. It's around 22 Celsius degrees per minute, which is what we are actually aiming for. I'm still looking for the defect signs. And with the very fast roast approach to emphasize the fruity character, we need to go down with the power quite early in the roast. So our first change will be to P7 at around 140 Celsius degrees. And you can see that I'm about to do the change. Last check of the color and defects. And now we do the change. And we are getting closer to 150 degrees, so you can note the color change in the roaster. And when the beans are fully yellow, so there is no signs of any green color, we can mark the color change. And in our scenario, it happens around 150 Celsius degrees. At 155, we are doing the second change, second decrease further down to P6. So these early changes actually make the roast slightly longer, so we'll have a reasonable time and development won't be too fast, because we still want to roast the insides of the bean, not only the surface. Third change will be at 165 on P5. As you can see, we still maintain pretty high rate of rise, which is how fast our temperature is rising, and it's around 10 degrees per minute at the moment. We are actually in like a middle or even after a middle part of the roast, and we are getting closer to first crack. So at 175, which is more or less around 5 to 8 degrees before the first crack, we are doing our last change, and it will be down to P4. And now we have time to focus and listen to our first crack to mark it properly. In my roaster, in my environment, it happened around 183 Celsius degrees, which corresponds to 7 minutes and 10 seconds of roast. And now we can start counting the development time. With a filter coffee, I am usually aiming for 1.5 minutes of development, depending on the bean. But it's also all about the preference. So when you are roasting yours, feel free to extend the time if you like less acidity and more bitterness in your cup. Going lower than that can cause some underdevelopment issues. And we actually did on this roast 1 minute and 10 seconds of development, and I based my decision on the observed color. So as you can see, I'm checking the color more often at the moment to see how it's going. And we are finishing the roast at 8 minutes and 20 seconds. And this is my approach to Finca El Puente. Have fun roasting yours, and let's move on to brewing.
We have our coffee ready, and now it's time to brew it. Today we are going to use it with P60, and we are going to need 21 grams of coffee, obviously paper filter, P60 and some carafe to brew it with, and scale. Start off with the folding the filter. And I'll grab some hot water. And it's just off the boil, so it's like 95-ish degrees. Oh. And we'll start with pre-wetting, like pre-infusion phase, which will take like 60 grams of coffee, of water. And I will swirl it to immerse all the coffee in the water and wait till 45 seconds will remain. So we'll separate the brew into two phases after the pre-infusion. First one, we'll pour the coffee, water over the coffee over to get 250 grams of water in total. With the circle pours, wet all the grounds evenly and saturate them. And now we'll wait until 1 minute and 30 seconds to pour the last part of the water, and it should all come up to 350 grams of water. To make sure that all the grounds take part in the brewing process. And we are at 352. And we'll swirl it one more time. Get all the grounds from the sides into your brewing coffee. So total time of the brew should be around like 3.5 minutes. And that's how it's going to be, I guess. If you hit the wrong time, make sure you can, next time you will brew it, just adjust the grind size of your coffee grinder. If it's too fast, you can go finer. And on the other hand, if it's too slow, you can go coarser with grind settings. But remember, the good coffee will always defend itself and it will be great anyway. It's all about getting all the juices from it. There we go. It's slow, so I will adjust my grind size next time. And now it's time to taste it. So aroma first. Actually, straight off the roast, we can smell red fruits with some like dried as well. And it smells very sweet and like brown things. With tons of different kind of flavors in just one cup. In the flavor, you can get like very gentle acidity. It reminds me of dried fruits. Very good chocolate mousse like kind of texture. It's very juicy and it covers all your tongue and just very expressive coffee. And it just lingers. It just stays there on your palate. Very good coffee. Cheers.